tips to live authentically based on your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know more.
Truth.
We know Moira's truth's different to mine.
Mm-hmm.
We know mine's different to Moira's. We know that my family's is different to mine. We know our friends. So this is based on your truth, yours being the listener. So tips to live authentically based on your truth. So let's kick it off. What's number one, Moira?
Well, funny, because our last episode we just did, we talked about the assessment being the tip number one, and it actually applies to this too.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes. See, living authentically to your truth, you're assessing where are you? How's your physical body? How are you feeling emotionally? How's your mindset? How's your mind chatter? And how's your connection to source energy or your higher self?
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Moira.
Hello, my dear.
Hi, listeners.
Hi, listeners.
We have a goodie today because it's getting real. It's stripping everything back to get real would be probably the intro for
That would
us.
be the subtitle. That's a good one.
Yeah. There's no peeling the onion back layer by layer. It's like, let's just rip it right back and cut it down the center.
Right down to the heart.
Yeah, that's
I like it.
That's the one. So welcome everybody for joining our Deliciously Motivated Mindset conversation with Debz. That would be me, and Moira.
That would be me.
With the accent. She has a different accent to me.
Yes, different. Yes.
And if you've listened to us before, thank you for coming back. And if you haven't, welcome, because we've got a goodie for you. But what I'll do is I'll jump straight into what we start with. And it's called what do we actually call it? Assessment tool.
Assessment. We name it differently each time. Our assessment tool, our PEMS check-in. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual check-in.
And it's literally, litmus test.
That's
it.
Yeah.
So it's literally just checking in where you are on a number of 0 to 10. And 10 being Moira's favorite word, which I've started using more and more, is discombobulated.
Yep.
Or the Christmas tree lights that are packed away and you've got to pull them out, and then you're like, oh, where do I start? What ones are broken? How did they all break? I thought I packed it nicely last year. Those ones, or your Wellington gumboots are in the mud and you're like, I've got to keep moving and I can't.
And they just sprung a leak.
Yeah. Then there's a damn hole in them. That's a 10. A 10. And a 0 is a beautiful place to be, where you're not run by your past, future emotions. You're just sitting in that space of inspiration, alive, grateful, nurtured by so many things. And that's a 0. So we rate ourselves now, and then we rate ourselves halfway, and then we rate ourselves at the end. And our intention is to take you, no matter what number you are, is to take you to that 0.
Closer to the 0, definitely.
Yeah. But don't be alarmed with your number. It's just a number. So Moira, in saying that, what number are you?
I'm at a 1.5.
Oh, I'm a 1. Interesting, because usually Moira and I, we both say ours.
We quite often are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So Moira's a 1.5 and I'm a 1. It's as easy as that. That's it. And then we move on. Then we move on to tip 1. But before we head off tip 1, write that number down. Grab your note note-taking device, whatever it is, because today we're talking about tips to live authentically based on your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know more.
Truth.
We know Moira's truth's different to mine.
Mm-hmm.
We know mine's different to Moira's. We know that my family's is different to mine. We know our friends. So this is based on your truth, yours being the listener.
Yeah.
So tips to live authentically based on your truth. So let's kick it off. What's number one, Moira?
Well, funny, because, our last episode we just did, we talked about the assessment being the tip number one, and it actually applies to this too.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes. See, living authentically to your truth, you're assessing where are you? How's your physical body? How are you feeling emotionally? How's your mindset? How's your mind chatter? And how's your connection to source energy or your higher self? So it's about just noticing that, assessing it. And that's one of the best ways to step into the authenticity of you. Because actually perfect is a perfect example, because like Deb said, oftentimes you and I are the same. But I said 1.5 and you said 1.0. That shows you that we've got a nuance of our own self, whatever it is, right? So I just think that, to me, tip number one is living authentically based on your truth starts with being aware and acceptance, self-acceptance. That's what this tool is also, is assess yourself, but then accept yourself where you are, right?
Assess and accept. Yeah.
Yeah, assess and accept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is even funnier, because usually we used to start with AAs, AAA.
Yes, I know, whatever. We did.
I can't even remember what they were, but yep. So assess and accept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you alluded to my tip two coming up here, and that was actually copying others.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And because, usually, sometimes, quite often we are actually the same. Quite often we are the same.
Yeah. And that's us being authentically who we are still.
Absolutely. But so copying others is can be of value, but it can also be a detriment to your health and your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're copying others, you're forgetting your own genius.
Mm-hmm.
You're jumped on their crazy train. You're doing those things for other people, but also I would say probably the biggest part of that is you're forgetting your own genius.
Yeah.
Because you're going, oh, look what they've posted on social media. I'm going to do that too. Or I'm going to copy that. Or I'm going to post daily on social media. Or I'm going to post 3 times a day. They're doing it twice. I'm going to post 3.
Right.
Like, seriously, this is going to spiral you downhill. It is not going to allow you to live authentically, because it's not your truth. It's somebody else's truth.
It is. And I've worked with people as clients who will come to me with that type of story of like, oh my God, I have to show up in this group, and then I have to lead something over here, and I have to post this social media thing, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. And so it's like, hey, wait, pause. Do you want to? And I go like, no, because so-and-so told me I had to do this in order to be seen and to be I was like, no.
Well, that's exhausting for you to be listening. I know. That's exhausting for you, Moira, to listen to that, but also for them, that's an exhausting place to be.
I know, but then there's no authenticity there either, because you're doing it because you're copying somebody else, or you're letting somebody else dictate what is your truth without saying, hey, wait, is that truth for me? That's it. That's why I'm saying, I often say that to people. They'll let them just blabber on like that, and then I'll go say, okay, pause for a wee minute.
Well, I think that boils down. I just pulled my little post-it note off my my little computer, and we know what those 3
favorite questions.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the time now to bring that up. Mm-hmm. And the 3 questions are: is this good for me?
Yes or no?
Is this good for others?
Yes or no?
And
do I want to? Yes or no?
And so when
we've talked about this before, those are really quick questions. They're not big ruminating, oh, I wonder, and telling stories and getting.
Is it good for me? Yes. So doing this podcast, is this good for me? Yes. Is it good for others? Yes. Do I want to? Heck yes. Done.
So,
but often when we come to our topics, there's a topic and I'll go, is this good for me? It's good for others. Do I want to do it? I don't want to do it today.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've had occasions like that where we're like, hey, we're going to bump that down further down the list.
Yeah. And that's literally, and I guess that's so another topic would be your F team, which I'm going to talk about after this one here, and your F team. But actually, so copying others. So the beautiful part about that is good for me, good for others, and do I want to do it?
Yep.
But I'm just going to jump into the next one from that because I talked about your F team, and your F team is your fabulous team, your fierce team, your ferocious team, your fun team, the people around you. Find your tribe.
Yep.
And if I'm arguing with Moira about this is good for me, this is good for others, do I want to? No, and Moira really wants to, we're going to have conflict, and we're going to have to work on it. We're going to have to go, okay, well, is this the best time? But what I love is Moira is 100% on my F team. 100% on my F team, and I'm on hers. And in fact, today we actually had a conversation prior to this as we both agreed on something, but then we didn't agree on something else, which is even funnier. But in saying that, I actually agreed with Moira. It was somebody else had given me their input. Right. I said, oh, by the way, and I hadn't agreed with it, but I was passing it on, and Moira's like, nope. No. And I felt more secure in me because I was left with, okay, yeah, they do have a point, but it didn't feel right for me. But I love that. So Moira is my F team. So, and listen to your F team. So Moira could say, no, I don't agree with that. And I can agree with that, but then I'm going to listen to her side. So I'm not just saying don't have people on your F team who are agreeers.
Yeah, you don't want a bunch of yes people on there.
Yeah. No. We want people who are going to challenge us to step up, but not burn us out, definitely. So ensure that you have the right tribe around, which is your F team.
Yeah.
And that is definitely allowing you to live authentically based on your truth.
Right.
Because they're the ones who go, hey, you've had that story for 3 blooming years now. Come on. It's time to let that go. Or because you want those ones who actually challenge you. And that can be a challenge. Come on, you said that last time you're never going to do that. Then why are you doing that? That's still part of your F team, your fabulous team, your fun team, your fierce team, your ferocious team.
They're not going to be the same as you. What I like about this is that they're coming from their truth. And in that example that you just gave, I had the tips that you shared. I was like, yes, I can get that. I can get, didn't quite like one of them, but I was like, yeah, okay, I can take that. But then there was another part of it's like to run that into my truth. Like, no, it didn't really need to be dissected further than that, other than it's not part of my truth.
And I loved that when I talked about it, Moira was she was gracious and saying no flipping way, but she was gracious in how she delivered it to me, because I was still left with, okay, I don't really want to. I don't really want to do this. Right. But the first thing we talked about was 100%. I was like, actually, they've got a point. Ugh. Yeah. Didn't want to acknowledge their point, but they've got a point. Okay, let's look at that. And we both agreed on that. But when it came to the second one, but I was still a little bit like, I don't know how I feel about this. Feels a little bit icky. And when I spoke to you about it, it felt icky for you. And you said, well, actually, I did check in with somebody about this earlier, and this is what And then we both went, oh, okay, done. Literally end of conversation, move on. Yep. It felt right. So even the way we interacted, with the copying others is the good for me, good for others, do I want to? We literally both did that in our own heads.
Yes, we did.
Having this conversation, is this good? Like, having this conversation between us and what we were suggested to do. Is it good for me? Is it good for others? Could be.
Yeah.
But do I want to? No.
And that's even the whole first beauty. One was the whole beauty of those. Oops. Bonk. that was my wrist on my desk there. The beauty of those 3 questions is that it really takes away from the second guessing, because any one of them being no means it's no.
Well, the first one, is it good for me? It was like So really, that's what we would have been. Yeah, right there. It was like,
oh, right there.
Yeah. And then the second, was it good for others? Could be.
I don't know. Perhaps.
No. And then do I want to? No.
Yeah. So then
So
it's like that was going up a scale there. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So
Yeah.
so I love that. And then it shut it down and we moved on.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, we probably spent more time just now talking about actually explaining
that we did in the real
than
conversation.
we did than we did in the whole thing. So I think so tip 3 is an F team.
Yes. I like that.
The short version is that get an F team. Get an F team, but make sure your F team are enough to challenge you, but not burn you out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
we started off that with a kick, didn't we? How to live authentically based on your truth. And we're into tip 4 now. Boom.
So I think tip 4 is to define what authenticity means. What is authentic? What does it mean to live authentically to you? Each one of us, similar to what we were saying about our truth. My truth is different to Deb's truth. It's different to our listeners. However, what does living authentically or living in authenticity mean? Does that mean that you live in a city or live in the countryside? Do you live alone? Do you live in a group? Do you live in a relationship? Do you have children? Do you not have children? What is that? And also understanding that it evolves as we evolve. So I think of myself in my 50s, living authentically is going to be different to how I lived in my 20s. But it's a constant becoming and telling myself the truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So even just, well, see that even just when you're talking about that, I started writing down walk your talk.
Yes. Yeah.
As being your talk.
A good
and then
one.
I'm like, then we go to the 4 agreements. So there's another tip.
Yeah.
But I mean, what does living authentically mean? And I guess I'm going to go back with that. What does living authentically mean? Be okay with evolving.
Yeah.
Like grow with who you are would be, because, me in my 50s now, my 50s, I'm 50, but my 50s is different to my 40s, is different to my 30s, is even different. My late 30s is different to my mid 30s to my early 30s, so grow with who you are.
Grow with the evolution of you, because we are all evolving. So it is to say, and to also, like, when we're living authentically, we are not allowing ourselves to get stuck with past labels. Right? Oh, you always do this. No, maybe I don't.
Yeah.
Or I always do it unless I don't.
Well, see, that's people go, oh, I remember her at school. She was mean. Like, okay. By the way, I was at school at 10 and you're talking about me. That's 40 years ago. I'd like to think I've changed, but I am mean. Yep. Okay. Righto. But I think, and I guess, so living authentically. So then I'm going to say number 5 and number 6. So number 5 is walk your talk. Walk your talk. If you say you're going to do something, do it. But if it's not right, it's not saying I'm going to run a marathon and do it. If you can't run that marathon, change it, like pivot, like walk your talk, but be okay with, changing it.
Or saying I would like to, or I'm working on, or I'm working up to.
Yeah.
Right? So it is using the verbiage that suits where you're at. This actually reminds me of tapping, EFT tapping, emotion freedom technique tapping.
Yeah.
Deb knows this is a technique that I love teaching.
It's a great technique. Yeah.
But one of the things we do when we're doing our setup phrase is say something like, even though I'm having this feeling, I deeply love and accept myself. But in walking your talk and telling yourself the truth, I work with people that can't say I love and accept myself. We're like, well, no.
Oh, that can throw people right out.
Freaking hate myself right now, or there's no way I'm going to accept myself. And so this is where I start to get into verbiage that works, like I'm open to learning to love myself, or I like myself. I could learn to like myself. So that's what I'm saying about the walk your talk. You're saying, if you're not
or accept myself.
Yeah, accept myself. I can run quarter marathon.
Yeah.
Right. So it's using the languaging that is authentically based on what is it you're doing, what are you working on, where are you heading.
Yeah, I'd like that. Well, then I walk your talk and tweak it.
And tweak it to
tweak,
suit. Absolutely.
tweak and pivot.
Yes, tweak and pivot. I like that.
My favorite word. Yeah, that's it. Tweak and pivot. Yeah. So I'm actually just going to go to number 6 because I did jump into that with the 4 agreements again. If you don't know the 4 agreements, Google them, look them up, because they are tips to live authentically based on your truth.
Truly.
Number 1, be impeccable with your word.
Be impeccable with your word.
Yeah. In fact, my partner and I had a whole conversation about that just the other day on the couch. And I said, look, this is actually just what happened today. This is what was said, da-da-da, and this is how I'm feeling, da-da-da. And she actually said, okay, you know what just happened is we are just not impeccable with our words. And we both just looked and went, the 4 agreements got us good. And just even taking ownership of that and then recognizing, that's where it was, because that's one of the things we like to do. And we're not 100% on that. Just like, we're not perfect. We're still evolving like everyone else. But it was actually a great one just to go, so I couldn't blame her for doing what happened. She couldn't blame me. We just went, I know what we're doing. Or she said, I know what we're doing. We're not being impeccable with our words. And we both went, yes. And so there was no blame. It literally just shut
I love that.
The whole conversation down. So be impeccable with your word is number 1. Don't take anything personally. Number 2. Which I find people actually take that one as the hardest. I'm like, really? That's the hardest? But I'm like, okay.
For a lot of people. A lot of people have a really hard time not being able to say, your opinion's none of my business.
Yeah.
That's hard for, I've heard lots of people doing that.
Yeah, well, I would say probably be impeccable with your word would be my hardest. And number 3, don't make assumptions. That's a good one. What is assumptions are making an ass
out of you and me.
Assume.
Yes, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
I didn't even know that was a thing. And I put it on a Facebook Live and I said, don't make assumptions, don't assume. And someone went, make an ass out, and I was reading it going, ass out of you. And I was like, that spells assume. That makes, I had the big penny drop at that moment. So don't make assumptions. Ass out of you and me. And number 4 is always do your best.
Yes.
And if you can go to bed at night and know you've always done your best, you're going to sleep blissfully.
Absolutely. So here's something that, and I work with a lot of people that always do your best is the hardest one. Simply because
really? Wow.
Yes, because here's why is that, how at the beginning we do our check-in? Yeah. So let's say you were running at a 7 or an 8 because you hadn't had enough sleep and so your best is at a much reduced level. But then the same day, like the same task that you were going to do, let's say the following day you eaten well, you'd had a good sleep, you're feeling really refreshed, and then so your best is way up here, like at a very high caliber. What oftentimes people do is they take that high caliber, and my best is this, I got this, and done, and they expect to do that every day. Oh no, this is my best. I have to be operating at this level.
That makes so much sense. I treat every day. In fact, I treat every hour differently sometimes. I'm like, okay.
So that's so important. So always doing your best means what am I up for today?
What's my PEMS number? Yep. Yeah, what's my assessment tool today?
What's my capacity?
In this hour?
Yep. Yeah. What's my capacity? What's my bandwidth? What's my tolerance? What's my
Well,
that really helps you with your authenticity based on your truth.
Okay. Well, there. So we're now at tip number 7. They raced through, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
So your turn, Moira.
So
tip number 7
to
live authentically based on your truth. This is based on Moira's truth.
This is based on
we agree.
So I'm going to suggest another question. This is
Okay.
sometimes I probably used this before on one of our episodes, but this one really helps you to live authentically based on your truth. Is you ask yourself, how do I feel about myself here? And when I say here, like, how do I feel about myself when I'm in this type of environment or with these type of people, with these types of choices, doing these types of things? How do I feel about myself? And what you're looking for is, I feel peaceful, I feel calm, I feel energized, I feel that my personal sense of yes, I feel aligned with my truth. If you feel discombobulated or anxious or scared or any of
10.
those, or 10,
Unsafe.
that's saying you're actually not authentically based in your truth. Something's taken you out of alignment there. So how do I feel about myself here? And use that as a, does that make sense?
Yep. And well, I was just thinking, how do I feel about myself here? And if you're feeling scared, I guess the next thing is get out.
Get out, absolutely.
Don't
act upon
sit.
it. So yes, you ask the
Yeah,
question,
so
then if you have to, you can get out.
yeah, so actually, if I feel energized, then do more of it. But if you feel scared, don't be afraid to take the next step of get out, move,
because it's
change,
not for
change
you.
it. Yeah, change. Get out, change your environment, change whatever it is.
Yeah. Because you can't. It's by holding yourself. Because sometimes, like, I can think of younger versions of me that would have said, oh, well, it's all right, they didn't really mean that. Or, maybe I'm just jumping to conclusions. Or
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
That's a downward spiral right there.
we have that. We have that more and more. We have that more and more. Oh, they didn't really know what they were doing. No, they did.
Yeah.
They did. They did know what they were doing, and they still continued to do it. And then they talked about it the next day, and then they showed other people about it and did it. They knew what they were doing. Don't try and downplay. Don't try and downplay this. Don't try and downplay this. They knew. Don't take on. Yeah, don't take on. I guess that's the other thing. Have we talked about other people's energy? Because I guess don't take on other people's drama, energy. Agenda.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one, because you know how it's often talked about being an empath. So
listen to me.
So be wary of this one. I really encourage people to be wary of this. I hear this. People say, oh, I'm an empath, and therefore I take on everybody else's bad energy, and therefore blah,
if you could see my face.
I know, she's making quite the face there.
Yeah.
So here's the thing is, truth be told, I am an empath. And it can be one of the most powerful gifts and one of the heaviest curses. It depends on what you do with it and how you choose to use it. So it's a gift because it does help you feel other people's emotions, but then you shake them off. You do not carry them. You don't then go, okay, now I have to carry that anger or that irritation, right? So it's
just that acknowledgement, really, isn't it? It's that assessment tool again. Oh, they're an 8. Well, I'm a 3. I'm not jumping into that.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And so you can say, okay, I see that. Maybe it could help you speak to them at that level, but you are not of it. So it's like, okay, you can be in it, but not of it. Right? So it's kind of like, okay, I'm just visiting, just passing through. This is actually 4 agreement stuff getting in here too, is that we do no one any service by feeling their feelings.
Mm.
Unless you're a coach or a healer and you tap in to then be able to say, aha, it's this. Here's your tool. Try this. And then back your energy out. So it's about coming into the energy field and coming back out. And right. So it's does that make sense? It's like that's being
totally
authentically in.
Yeah.
You are the manager of your own energy bubble, and that's it.
Well, that's standing with your, that to me is the wording of inspired or motivated. So inspired means you're standing in an I and your shoulders are back and you're standing in your own truth there. But motivated is when someone's moving you, they're pushing you to do stuff. So that's the difference between that. And so when you're standing in your own truth of that, exactly what you just said, you're in it, not of it, you're actually inspired. You actually got your shoulders back and it's part of you, whereas motivated is somebody who just moves you, tries to move you. Yeah.
There's a wee sense of manipulation going on in there with how you, right?
Totally. Yeah. I'm a motivational speaker, so I'm going to convince you that you need to do this, and this. Yeah. I would rather say I'm an inspired speaker.
Definitely.
So although we call it deliciously motivated mindset, that's a little bit different.
Yes.
But so my next tip is you can't take it back. If you say or do something or think something, you can't take it back. So it's I guess it goes back to our very first when we had the assess and accept it. It's done, it's out there. You can't swallow those words back, accept it's been done and move forward. So don't wallow in your self-pity. Wallow, do we still use that word wallow? I don't even know what wallow means. Don't wallow in your self-pity. Don't worry about what's happened in the past. Well, you can worry about it to a certain degree, not really, but like just let it go. It's done. It's done. You can't take it back. You said those things. Okay. You've done that. You can't take it back. It's about moving forward. And this is where it's wiser to go. And I remember there's a saying, and Moira will know the saying, it's something about the rear vision mirror is small in a car. The rear vision is small compared to
the windscreen.
Yeah, the windscreen, because it's so big. And so that's where we want you to focus on, not what's behind you.
Yeah.
We can see what's behind you. So it's about you can't take it back, move forward.
Yeah. We did talk about that because I used to say, can you imagine how many car accidents there would be if all you did was drive down the road looking at the rear view mirror?
I don't think we've talked about it for ages, though.
No, I don't think so. It's been a while.
But that's exactly it. The rear vision mirror is damn small compared to where you're going.
But it's also just for a little quick check. You just glance in the rear view mirror, but keep your eyes focused on that windscreen, looking straight ahead.
And you glance more when you're being assessed and you've got them watching. You're driving. Like, okay, how many seconds, how many minutes do I need to every minute? Or I don't even know what it is.
No, I don't. I don't know. I'm sure there's some rule or ism there. It doesn't matter. I glance in it.
Yeah. I mine's actually got glitter all around it.
Of course it does. That's your glitter ball. Glitter bomb.
So it's actually got glitter all around my mirror. So when I look at my mirror, my rear vision mirror, I see glitter and diamantes. Of course I have that.
See, that might entice you to look in your mirror a little bit more.
I'd look at myself, but I have to lean right up in the chair. Yeah. So I do have I can't take it back. I have to move forward, but I do look behind me and glitter and diamantes. Surprise. Okay, so what's the next tip?
The next tip is, so living authentically based on your truth. We all have this little component. The component of all of us. We have, I think of ourselves as multiple personalities who have lots of different components to our own inner committee. And one of them is the inner critic or the judge or the saboteur. So here's the tip is I encourage people to actually befriend their inner critic or their, whatever it is you want to label it. It can be the narrator, it can be a critic, a saboteur, a judge. But one of the things that can happen as we move forward with this aligning with our own truth, which keeps evolving and changing as we evolve and change, is that we can have this wee narrator saying, oh, well, last time you made that choice, it screwed up. Or what would that person say of you if they found out this is how you think, or you did this or didn't do that, or blah, blah, blah. So here's the key piece is in living authentically, we can't pretend that's not going on. To tell yourself the truth, I've got this kind of critical dialogue going on within me. But if you can say thank you to it, that's my tip. Say thank you to your inner critic. Thank you, inner critic, narrator, judge, whatever you want to label it as.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because that component of you or that dialogue within you is actually wanting to keep you safe. It's actually trying to look out for you. So when you say thank you, but it's okay, I'm good, I'm safe, I'm getting in touch with this authenticity, then what happens is that dialogue goes away or the volume dials way down.
Yeah.
So befriending your inner critic by saying thank you, having some appreciation for it.
Oh, well, guess what tip I've got? Guess what the last? Well, because we are kind of time here. Yeah. And my last tip is actually gratitude.
Of course it is.
Of course, when you're like, thank you to the inner critic. I love that. I really love that, because I think gratitude is the right attitude. You're going to live authentically based on your truth is about taking ownership and being true to yourself, but also be grateful. Be grateful for your past. Be grateful for what you're visioning in the future. Be grateful for those who have tried to stop you. Be grateful for those who have given you a leg up. Be grateful for those who have told you you're not good enough, because these are, or you are good enough, or be grateful for your money situation. Be grateful for your physical body. Like, be grateful for, there's so much to be grateful for. And there is so much, and write it down, whether you handwrite it, whether you type it into like, be grateful for those things. I know Dr. John DeMartini writes, it's not actually called his gratitude journal, I don't know what he actually calls it, but his life journal. And he starts it, today I had the opportunity to.
Oh, I like that.
And I love it. Today I had the opportunity to talk to Deborah and laugh with Deborah. Today I had the opportunity to record a podcast. Right. Today I had the opportunity to move myself from a 10 on my assessment tool to a 3 after just listening to the podcast. Yeah. Today I had the opportunity to, so be grateful for, today I had the opportunity to wake up in a beautiful bed that kept me warm all night long, or cool all night long, depending on where you are. Yeah. Today I had the opportunity to, like, what are you grateful for? But write it down, because when you're grateful for things, your whole body shifts, your physical shifts, your mindset shifts, the people around you shift. You know, people go, what is she doing? Why is she so, why has she got a spark in her step? Like, she's going through a real tough time at the moment. No, it's perfect. It's just literally perfect. So what are you grateful for? And when you can have gratitude in your whole world, you are truly living authentically based on your truth.
I love that. And I completely agree with you. You know, the wee note I made to that, just to add on to your, is that when we frame things up like you just said, and the way you just described that, you're actually acknowledging and admitting to ourselves we are powerful creator beings.
Yeah.
Because as a powerful creator being, then I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to do this. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to sit and hang out with my dear friend on the other side of the world.
I know, as we talk about different weather, and she's going into night and I'm going into morning, and it is. Yeah. I'm truly grateful for those things.
Me too. But like I said, as I was listening to how you were setting that up, I was thinking, yes, because we made it that way. We created this. And that's what I think this whole idea of this conversation of living authentically based on your truth is, to wake up to the fact that you are making your own story, your path, your journey, your experience. You're creating it. We all are. We all are.
Yeah.
And it's based on our truth. So that's how come it's so important to come into your truth, not somebody else's agenda or ism or right?
Or. Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Excellent conversation. Well, it's come to time for us to recap. So, dear listeners, we encourage you to take your note-taking device, whether you are doing that on your notepad or you're handwriting things out. I'm a big handwriter with my purple pencil here, of course.
Handwriter.
So I'm going to kick us off here with tip number 1 on this tips to live authentically based on your truth is the PEMS check-in, the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual check-in. And it's a tool to assess where are you and accept where you are. And from there, you can then access your truth. You can actually tell yourself, this is who I am today. This is what's going on for me. Right. So I like that. Assess and accept. I think we need to keep that one.
I think that's definitely going to be when we do our check-ins at the start, is assess and accept. I love that.
Me too.
And number 2 I had was copying others.
Yes. So I prefaced that by saying be aware of copying others.
Copying others is ugly. Be aware of copying others. It's ugly. It's just it's definitely not going to allow you to authentically live in your truth. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, unless it does.
You can look at people and go, you can look and go, oh wow, they've got that idea on social media, which actually happened this morning. Funnily enough, I said, oh, this person's doing this. What do you think about this? It's a great idea. Yeah. So that's a great thing, but you put your spin on it. Yeah. So there's a different level. Not. Yes. Yeah.
You can use it as inspiration to then put your own stamp on it, right? Yeah. Which when we talked about this being aware of copying others, we referenced my set of 3 questions where you asked yourself,
oh, yes, of course.
Is this good for me? Yes or no? Is this good for the other or the others? Yes or no? And do I want to? Yes or no? And they're very quick. Yes or no? All 3, but all 3 must be a yes.
Or if there's a, I don't know.
If there's a wobble.
Or if even there's a pause, no. Park it. Yeah.
Just not doing it. Awesome. The next tip number 3 was, Deb brought this up a while ago. I love this. The F team, the fab team, your ferocious team, your fierce team. To find your tribe, find your people. Yeah. And also too, just something that landed as I was kind of referencing that is to understand that as we evolve, our F team may change. Right? So it's about being fluid and flowing and recognizing, because sometimes people may stay at a certain level and you're kind of going somewhere else. So I can think for myself, the amount of times that I've been in certain crowds and certain tribes, and then thought, nope, I've moved on. I've gone somewhere else. Could be a lateral move, but it's or up or down, whatever. But just surrounding that and checking in. Is this still resonating?
And I think, excuse me, and I think that's a great one, because we jump into the next one, which was what does living authentically mean? And when one of the words I wrote down was actually grow with the evolution of you.
Oh, I love that.
And that I think you said it.
I said be okay with evolving. You
okay.
Translated it a wee bit, but I like it.
Okay, grow with the evolution of you, which is also part of that F team.
Yes.
Because if you're growing with the evolution of you, you can let people go from that F team and build a new F team.
Yeah.
You can wipe the slate clean completely. And be aware of those past labels that you have with yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Don't get stuck with them. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Next tip I have here is to walk your talk. And so, and that's when we talked a wee bit about using the correct verbiage for you. I was talking, I used the example of using EFT tapping, where if you can't say I love and accept myself, then look at what can you say. I like myself. I'm open to learning to love or accept, or things of that nature. And so you added to that one was the tweak and pivot. So
that's not twerk and pivot.
Yes, no,
tweak. Walk your talk and tweak and pivot if need be.
If need be. Yeah, if need be. But you can only do that if you're accessing your own truth, right? That's what's going to help you with that one.
Yeah. What beautiful tips we've actually shared here. I'm just going to add that one.
I think so.
The next one I've got here is the 4 agreements. And I'm just going to reference them again. If you haven't already Googled them, be impeccable with your word.
Yep.
Word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best.
Yeah.
And they are from Don
Miguel Ruiz.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 4 agreements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely love those. And it's been a while since we actually brought them up into a conversation, but they do apply to almost everything we speak about, don't they?
If you can live by those, if you can do those, you're definitely living authentically based on your truth.
Yeah.
But they're so short and sharp, and they have such an impact is what I find with them.
Yeah. I totally agree. Totally agree. The next tip I have here is to use another one of my questions. I like
some
coming
quality
up with
questions today. Yeah.
So the question was, how do I feel about myself here? And that here is like in this group with this F team, with this project, with this, or in this environment, with these thoughts, with these choices. And if you feel energized in the sense of yes, in the sense of this feels good, then great, you're on track. You're aligned with your authenticity and keep going. But if you feel worried or anxious or afraid, it's time to leave that space. Put it down, get out of there. That's your own inner wisdom. So what do you have to do to navigate, to make the next step?
Yeah.
How do I feel about myself here?
Yeah, I love that. And change it or not. Whatever. Yeah.
Change it as necessary.
Yeah. The next tip I've got is don't take on other people's. And I've got energy/drama.
Yes. That's when we talked about being an empath.
Yeah, totally. And I've got in brackets, in it, not of it.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that empath. Oh, I've got to take that stuff on. No, you don't. Nope. No. So don't take on other people's energy or drama. The one I often reference, it's not my monkey, it's not my circus.
Yes.
And I've said it more and more probably the last couple of weeks when people have said things, I'll go, not my monkey, not my circus. Because I'll go, what do you think about so-and-so doing this? Not my monkey, not my circus.
Yeah,
and that to me is
just
end of conversation, living authentically based on my truth. Done. Boom.
Yep. Don't need
if you want to ask somebody, I'm not going to get entangled into that. Yeah.
Totally agree with you. The next one I had written down was you can't take it back. So when it's said and done, you can't, and because actually that's what guilt is, right? Guilt is wishing you had a time machine and could go back and redo something. It's like, you can't. So this is also where we talked about not wallowing in self-pity and understanding that, yes, you can look in the rearview mirror, but understand it's in the past. It's dead. It's gone. Done. Yeah. So you can glance in the rearview mirror, but keep your eyes focused forward. That's you're heading down the highway at your best rate, authentically based on your truth, right?
Yeah. Even if you can just do one of these tips.
Yes.
If you just do one of these tips, this is definitely going to help you.
Yep.
Definitely going to help you. So the next one I've got is the inner critic. The inner critic, the saboteur, the judge. And Moira said, be friends with it.
Yeah.
Befriend it. Yeah. And thank you to it.
Yeah.
Because it's waking you up to something alerting you to something that would be wise to work on. So befriend your inner critic, your saboteur, your judge.
Yep.
Yeah.
And because you're just acknowledging they're trying to keep you safe. So just being friends. Thanks very much. Which actually then went into the last tip that I had here, which was gratitude, appreciation. And I liked what you said about today I had the opportunity to do That's a wee bit like something I've often said is, at the beginning of the day, if you find yourself like, oh gosh, I have to do such and such, like, oh, but how about, oh, today, look, I choose to do this, or I get to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really helping frame that gratitude energy up. And that's when I added in that wee bit of when we have gratitude, we're actually acknowledging that we're creating what we're experiencing, right? So it's like, yes, I am a creator being. I'm authentically doing this. So I'm grateful for it. Thanks very much. Right?
Yeah. It just shifts. It shifts. Just shifts so
Absolutely.
much.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Beautiful tips. That's all I had. Do you have it?
That's
Do you
it.
have any?
No.
That's it. That's it. This beautiful conversation. This one feels so so different than what I thought we were going to do.
I know.
But
We've
it
done
does
a couple
feel
of those. It does,
it feels very real. It feels very authentic. And so, dear listeners, we would love to hear or to know from you, what was your favorite tip? And also, where were you? What was the assessment number for your PEMS check-in at the beginning? And where are you now? Where are you now?
I'm a 0.
Yes, 0 also.
And even just like each tip that we gave, I felt I went to a 0, and then I got into business brain, delivering content. Like,
what else do we need to teach here?
Yeah. And then I went back to and then I went to the next one. What does living authentically mean? And then I went, so it actually just kept me in that 0 all the way.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But then when I was jumping to the next tip, I would go back to, right, and how we're delivering this, and then it was like, that's what I would say on all of those.
I love that. So we'd love to hear, are there other tips and techniques that you think we've missed, dear listeners? But your next step, what we would really love for you to do is to take 1, maybe 2 of these techniques and integrate them into your life, and then share with us, share with other people that you want to inspire to live authentically. But first of all, make it you. Do the internal and then share from there. That would be the tip. And then share with us, share with your loved ones, share all around. That's what I would suggest. And that's what I would say your next step is.
Let us know. Let us know, and share, because you're going to have there's no mistake, you're not going to have an impact on other people's worlds, but also for yours. And then you can write down, today I had the opportunity to share this and shift someone's perception on something.
Love that. Excellent. Well, thank you, dear listeners. We look forward to hearing your feedback and your sharing stories. And thank you, dear Deb. This has been a really lovely, really feel this one in my heart. Awesome episode. So thank you, dear listeners. Thank you, dear Deb. We'll be back with you all next week.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.